Thank you very much, everybody. Yeah, my name is Richard Osman. If you don't recognise me, congratulations on having a full-time job. If you do recognise me, I'm so sorry to hear you've been ill recently. This session is all about entertainment. I'm glad to be here because they asked me to go on Strictly this year. I couldn't in the end. I said to them, I don't have time to do all the training and have the affair. In preparation, though, for an entertainment session, I was watching Jeremy Kyle this morning. This is an absolutely true story. A woman was on Jeremy Kyle. She thought her boyfriend was cheating on her. And Jeremy was going to do a lie detector test. And he said to her, how sure are you that he's been cheating? And she said, well, Jeremy, I'm 80-30. Now listen, we all know that Karen Bradley is a tough act to follow, but we're going to try our best. I am joined by probably the three most powerful people in UK entertainment commissioning for this session. Would you please welcome Head of Entertainment at ITV, Siobhan Greene, Head of Entertainment at Sky, Phil Edgar-Jones, and Head of Entertainment at the BBC, Kate Phillips. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome, welcome. Now, we're going to be talking about a number of things in this session before you all go off and drink. We'll talk about some of the biggest shows in British television, things like I'm a Celebrity and Britain's Got Talent, which Siobhan look after. We'll also talk about some of the biggest stars on British television. I'll be asking Siobhan what Simon Cowell is like to work with. I'll be asking Phil what James Corden is like to work with. And I'll be asking Kate Phillips, the toughest one of all, what's Mary Berry like to work with? Very difficult, I think. We're contractually obliged, I think, to talk about the challenge of Netflix at some point, so we'll do that. And we'll also cover talent pay as well at some point. Perhaps less so on the BBC side, because that's been covered, but maybe more so on the commercial broadcaster side. Before we do anything, Phil, because it's an entertainment session, I think you've lent us your big entertainment hits, A League of Their Own, for a little VT.
Yes, so we spent most of our development budget for next year on this VT that you're going to see, which stars some luminaries of television and the RTS. We've got, so we do challenges on League of Their Own, where people go into the field and do sports-based challenges. This one took place at Silverstone a few weeks ago, driving Formula One cars. This is the first part of it. It stars Heather Jones, Teresa Wise from the RTS, Zy Bennett, my boss, so I hope he does well, and the esteemed Kenton Allen. So I think we've got James Corden to introduce it.
Lovely, let's take a look.
Welcome to the RTS Cambridge Convention. The panel will be discussing the future of entertainment, which, if they've got any sense, will be mostly about a league of their own. So we thought it would be fun to put them through a very special League of Their Own challenge. If they survive, entertainment may well have a future. If not, we're all screwed. Let's see how they got on.
Silverstone. I'm really sorry that James and the boys can't be here today.
So are we.
But no budget. But they've got me, Andy Collins, the warm-up man to League of Their Own. Today, you will be racing one of these.
Fuck.
Have you ever driven anything like that before?
No.
No? What's your driving experience?
Addison Lee, mainly.
Addison Lee. The most important thing is to have fun. To tell you a little bit more about what you're going to be doing, please welcome the Chief Instructor of Silverstone, Mr. Mark Armstrong.
You've seen the race cars go past. They're a Formula Silverstone capable of over 140 miles an hour. Our goal today is get you guys and girls to race each other head-to-head to see who is the best driver. But initially, we're going to take you out in a normal road-going car to get you comfortable and perfect your technique. So if you're up for the challenge, let's go.
Let's go, people! It's going to be a car crash. One of them will probably die.
Accelerate away down the straight. Just keep your vision nice and high, looking all the way down. How fast?
About 100 miles an hour. There's a brake force there. So you're going to brake nice and fast.
And then back in.
Oh, Jesus! Were you supposed to go on that bit?
Yeah.
To the right.
you got all that. What do you think the worst car in the world is?
Worst car in the world? I'd probably have to say a Toyota Prius.
Toyota Prius?
With you, Kenton, yeah.
That's what Zy Bennett drives.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's unlucky.
Yeah, well, for him.
Yeah. Keep on the power.
Whoa!
We can be in a nice straight line when we brake.
Wow. Got a very fast right and then left chicane. So through the chicane.
Oh my God.
I'm not quite sure if all my breakfast stayed down at a couple of points.
Fucking terrifying. It's horrific.
So they've had their instruction. They're now going to have their turn to drive the car, get a feel of the circuit. Then we get them in their single-seaters. And then it's showtime.
Right, when you're ready. Perfect. We'll stay with third from now.
Okay.
Start button's down here. And then release the clutch nice and gently.
I did that on purpose.
Yeah, obviously. And a little brake. Off brake, turn in, off brake.
She's driving like my grandma, right up to the steering wheel like that.
And then, now go.
Yes, baby.
Kenton's getting faster and faster and faster, isn't he, with every lap? Go on, son.
Keep going. More power.
Oh no, he's caught
He's
right
caught
up.
right up.
Oh.
And we should be able to overtake them. Keep right on. Power on, overtake on the right. Good, full throttle.
Yes!
It was good. I feel a bit sick.
There you go.
We go first.
Yeah, we go late. Oh, no, power all the way to the outside. Power, that's good.
To the left, bit of power.
Oh, I'm in the wrong gear.
Here comes Jones, here she comes. Wow! And about a month later, here comes Zy.
And then back on the power. So yeah, don't be afraid to use a little bit more steering knob.
I can do without that.
It's alright, ignore it.
There we go.
Yeah. Up to fourth gear.
Not picking up.
That's so annoying.
How rude!
Keeping to the left as we head down towards this right-hander.
Okay.
In more options, please press 1.
So it's Kenton from Big Talk Productions. I've got a common idea about a middle-aged TV executive having a midlife crisis.
Look for that yellow cone.
Yes.
Now we can start to put that power down.
And up to fourth. It's good.
Heather Jones, I'm telling you, you've got to keep an eye on her.
It's good. How do you feel?
Yeah, it's all right. It's just a lot to think about.
So that made a little bit more sense now you've had a go.
A little bit.
Get my message.
That was you calling.
Yeah, we called you. Yeah.
You knob.
Was I faster than Teresa?
Yeah, a little bit. But I didn't say that.
OK, guys, let's have a cup of tea, and then we'll get you in your single-seaters, and then we get serious.
There is a part two. There is a part two. I always like how Kenton with his scarf looks just like Dick Dastardly.
As Phil says, there is a part two. We'll discover who wins later on. No spoilers, but the trophy is called the Kenton Adam Memorial Trophy, is what they're driving for. Now, I wanted to talk to all three of you. There are two schools of thought, essentially, about entertainment at the moment. One is, of course, it is, the greatest genre of all. Every single channel's biggest show is an entertainment show, from I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, Bake Off, Strictly. Every channel's got a huge hit, Big Brother, MasterChef. Have I got news for you? But another school of thought would say most of those shows are very old. I'm a Celebrity is 15 years old now. Britain's Got Talent, 10 years old. Strictly, 10 years old. Have I Got News for You, 27 years old, as is MasterChef. And some of the newer hits, Bake Off, Gogglebox, don't come out of entertainment at all. They come out of different genres. So we might call them entertainment, but they're not. I want to take the more optimistic view first, which is that entertainment is still the most powerful force in television. Siobhan, on ITV, literally, you've got some of these tent poles all year, these huge entertainment shows. What do they mean to you as a channel?
What do they mean? They mean everything. They are the lifeblood of it all. They are the sort of the window of all of it, I think, as well as the big drama and everything. But for me personally, they mean everything, because they are the chance with some of the shows, say like a Britain's Got Talent, they're a chance to really, for the audience to really connect. And in the end, they're all about, for me, uplifting and entertaining. When you get it right, the whole nation can be entertained. And when I used to do X Factor in the edit, and I was working in the edit, and on a Saturday, when I went up home, sometimes if you went and when the show was on and you couldn't, obviously you'd seen it a million trillion times, sometimes you go for a walk, and when you're walking round where my sister lived, and you could see every house had the show on, that is a very, very powerful thing. And so what you've got to, so for me, what it means is that you are doing something, I think, that you can't underestimate, which is that you're letting people really feel uplifted and inspired and entertained and having a laugh and taking them out of whatever's going on for them for that hour, 2 hours, whatever it is. You know, my sister, all the kids, everybody gets round, and it's a shared experience.
Well, that's the important thing, is it a family thing? Because these are the only shows that can get you over 10 million on a big channel. And is that because everyone in the family can watch them?
Well, at their best, that's what happens. When it's at its absolute best, everybody wants to be a part of it. And what they do is they want to, you know, when we talk about all live television, whatever, but you go, what they want is they want the chance to experience it, and experience it as it's happening all together, because what we all want is to be connected, I think. So when we're enjoying that shared experience, there's nothing like it, and you want to watch it live. When it's absolutely on the money, you want to be there with you holding your breath, thinking what's going to happen next, and experiencing it live.
And we're going to talk a bit more about drama in a bit, about whether it's sold under close of entertainment. But Kate, you have a slightly different issue at the BBC, which is, listen, entertainment only works if it's entertaining, and if it's entertaining, it gets ratings, and that's not really your job, essentially. You know, you're supposed, as a public service broadcaster, you know, getting 12 million, 10 million is not sort of what your job is. Is it harder at the BBC to grow entertainment shows because of that idea?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you know, the BBC, what does it stand for? It's to inform, entertain, you know, and educate. It's always been at the heart of the BBC. And I think, of course, we look at ratings and we want to know that people are watching. But actually, what's really good at the BBC is we have many different platforms to sort of grow things. So we have BBC Two, we have BBC 3 and 4, we have radio. So for me, it's about sort of growing hits, and I know Shu and Phil and I are all putting a lot of sort of money and resources into development at the moment, and just trying lots and lots of things, because it's great when you get a big hit that is, like Shu says, a shared experience. That's what we all want, but they're hard to come by, so that's what we're trying to do at the moment. But certainly the BBC, I do look at ratings, but I think for me it's about having a huge variety of programmes, and because we haven't got the commercial pressures, and we have got other platforms, sometimes we can be a bit maybe riskier in what we're developing.
But Strictly also very useful politically for the BBC, in that it's sort of, it does all the three things you just said and is enormously popular and doesn't seem to upset anybody. And, you know, it's the sort of thing that could be talked about in Parliament without anybody worrying too much.
Yes.
And that's a handy thing for you.
It is a handy thing, but again, of course, Strictly has sort of grown over the years, and when it first started, and sort of Jane Larsh and Fenya together, Richard Hopkins and Karen Smith, really sort of spent quite a long time sort of developing it and forming it and finding new talent to be judges and growing it. And when we had the Brucey tributes recently, and you look back at the first Strictly, and I'm sure you saw it, you know, it's a very different show to the Strictly we've got now, and I'm sure it's the same with Shu's show. So it's to get to where Strictly is now, that has taken a long time, and actually part of the challenge is not about growing these shows, but keeping them there and keeping them at the top of their game. And this is what we're seeing now, and how production, every year we have a great year on one of our big shows, and the same on ITV. I'm sure it's like, God, how are we going to top it next year? And that's a constant pressure.
And Phil, by the way, I've just put some money on Debbie McGee to win. 40-1, Debbie McGee. She used to be a professional dancer. That's just a tip. Don't go out now and do it, but I would... she probably won't win, but she's overpriced. That's all I'm saying. Phil, for Sky, it's a slightly different thing, because it's not so much a ratings game, it's a reputation game, and entertainment makes a very big noise for you. League of Their Own has a huge sort of footprint.
Well, that's by far and away, because I actually just echo what Kate and Shu were saying. The thing about entertainment, the 5 biggest rating shows last year were entertainment shows. It's still the case that the 5 to 10 most best international sales or entertainment shows. And it does a couple of things. It creates sort of shared viewing. The other thing that we haven't touched on yet is the entertainment shows tend to be the shows that generate most talkability around your channel. So if you look at last year, probably I'm a Celebrity, it's true to say, was the most talked about show of the year. It would be Strictly just now. And Love Island, of course, was probably the most talked about show over the summer. So part of the motivation for us getting back into the entertainment game is to do a couple of things. Is to set the tone for Sky One a little bit more, because I think entertainment shows can do that really powerfully. Drive a bit more sort of talkability around what we do. Create more shared experiences on the channel. And I guess, so that's it really. It's also about providing our customers, as we call them on Sky, with a range of content across the genres that they can enjoy.
Okay, this is all very good, all very successful and lovely and huge hit shows that all the family can enjoy. I'm going to get onto the crisis part of it now. So all of these shows are old shows, is the truth, pretty much. And Zai Bennett, who I don't know if you know is a professional racing driver, and I sat down and went through some of the entertainment launches there have been literally in the last 10 years, and there are hundreds and there are an awful lot of casualties strewn across the entertainment highway, and no one has come up with a big, repeatable, international selling hit from the UK for a very, very long time. And you know, it's the same people who came up with these shows. So what has happened? Why is it so hard to come up with? Because I take you through a couple of ITV ones. So Exit List, 5 Gold Rings, Big Head, Splash, Stepping Out, Keep It in the Family, Drive, Flock Stars. These are all big shows that all have big launches. You know, they're all big entertainment propositions, which 10 years ago might have sort of gone to 4, 5, 6 series. None of them have quite caught light. Some of them have done well, but not brilliantly well. None of them catch light. What's the problem with entertainment? Why is it so hard now to do this shiny floor stuff?
Well,
I'll be going through everyone else's flops.
No, you do say whatever you want, but I think, obviously I can't speak because I've not done some. I think I've done some of those, but that's what you can. Well, it's how you want to look at it, Richard. I think if you want to look at it with an attitude of, if you want to be in the 100% game, don't work in this game for a start, because part of the joy of doing these shows, I've worked on like some of the biggest hits, and the show that I always talk about, which was a massive, absolute flop, really, was Reborn in the USA. I love the show. Richard, I loved that show, right? I love it. I loved it.
If only you knew who was in charge of entertainment at ITV, you could bring it back.
But it was Claudia, and I tell you what she did. Here's what she did, which taught me what, you know, it's when you're thinking about, I know I'm slightly going off tangent, but basically, we wrote the thing, they used to look like this, now they look like this, what if we took them here, blah, blah, blah. It was, it did literally write itself. You go obviously, she went, I absolutely love it. We go out, we do it. What we didn't realise what to do was Sonia and Dollar are fighting the whole first episode, and then Sonia had to leave. I think it was Sonia. She had to leave. There was the magic, and Sonia gets off the bus, and on we go. And I remember I was driving from Huddersfield over to Granada. The ratings come in. Paul Jackson, I literally thought I was breathing so heavy. It did 17% and 3 million viewers. Obviously now it's smasheroo, but be like great. But it was like it was painful. It was so hard. But what I would say about that experience was that seeds of stuff that we would go on to do were seeded there. So sometimes you've got to think there's always something to learn from every experience. There's always something to learn from the shows that when you do them, if they don't work, and in the end you have to suck that up and take it, because in my experience, the audience primarily know what they're on about. And the other thing I would say is that some of those things, and I obviously I can't particularly remember all of them, what you were saying. Sometimes,
there were a lot.
But what I would say about whether there's a lot or not, Richard, is that when you've got to allow stuff to bed in, you've got to, as a channel, now I've got the opportunity to do that now because I'm in this chair. But when I was pitching stuff and you do one series and it's like off, one series off. When we did Stars in the Rise, it took 5 series for that to genuinely start to bed in. Kate was on about Strictly, X Factor. When we started, I'm telling you now, it was dodgy whether we were going to get the show back. Then, thank God, people like Nigel Pickard or Claudia or whatever. And Claudia, when we did get 3 million and 17% share, and I was hyperventilating, thinking I need to you know, run a tomato shop or something. I can't do this anymore. She rang me and said, I love that show and I still love that show, Sue. And I'll remember that till the day I die, because what she continued to do was back the show and back me as a person to think, you know what, we can still keep going. So what I would say is that we've got to, now that I'm in this unbelievably privileged position, what I've got to do is back the shows and back the chance to do them again, because sometimes you've got to allow things to grow. And Love Island, which we brought back, I only did that first one where we brought it back. It came back, everybody turned up, they thought they were getting the old show, they thought it was going to be a load of celebrities, they went, oh, I'm not sure. It wobbled, and thank God we kept going. And look at it now, and you're talking about new shows. Look, it's changed. It's the bloody thing that's changing television right this year. It's the talk about show of it all. So I would just say, have an attitude of looking at it positively, and we're going to die trying, Richard.
If you take one message from this, what about celebrity die trying? That's
Well, when we wandered in and we were talking about terrorists, he said to me, oh, this could be a new show. I went, terrorists on ice? Not really. That's
Isn't the island celebrities die trying?
Yeah.
Yeah, the island is exactly
They always
that.
have on the island, yeah.
But
I don't know if that's answering it. What I'm trying
but no, you know what? I think what you're indicating, and every producer here, there's a lot of entertainment producers here, have the same story as you, which is, you know what, you produce a show that you loved and actually 10, 15 years ago probably would have been a hit, and actually it doesn't quite.
It doesn't quite, and you've got to allow these things. Everybody
If
here
you've
will
loved
know,
it enough,
and we will know.
I think
You've
it's
got
right.
to
If
let
you've
these
loved it
things
enough
grow.
to commission it, you've got to believe in it and carry it forward.
But again, Kate, so
also,
I'll go through some BBC flops. Listen, these lists of flops would be a lot longer, but I'm not putting the Endemol stuff on this list.
Yeah.
They'd be twice as long. I Love My Country, Reflex, Prized Apart, Puppet Game Show, Tumble, The Getaway Car, Pitch Battle. These are all big shows, all have a lot of money spent on them, and all go maybe 1 or 2 series. And they're perfectly decent programmes made by good people, but the audience doesn't seem to have that appetite for entertainment shows that they had 10, 15 years ago.
I don't think that's true. I think I would really disagree with that. I think Shu's right. I think a lot of the time it's about growing those shows and almost seeing your first series as a pilot series, if you like, where you sort of learn a lot and then hopefully you can bring it back. I think one of the challenges we have now, which we didn't have when these shows launched sort of over a decade ago, is social media. So, you know, when we're not overlooking, you know, at the night, everyone's sort of on it, and there's kind of always this white heat of sort of Saturday night entertainment, and you get people sort of judging very fast and sort of on Twitter and all this, and I think that's very hard, because you kind of want to just say, people, just give it a chance. Just sort of, you know, don't judge too quickly. And I think that's what we really want to do. And with the shows that I've been in the job a year now, and what I found interesting was the 2 new shows that we've got in entertainment, which is Michael McIntyre's Big Show and All Round to Mrs. Brown's, which are actually 2 new Saturday night shows that have done really well, both getting between 6 and 7 million, which is great. And they've got big personalities at their heart, which I think is really important, because it's not only about keeping the audience, it's about getting the audience to the show, and I think that can be really hard, especially when, you know, we've got the big ITV juggernauts there. So when you have a person like Michael Mack or sort of Brendan there is a sense of the audience going, okay, I trust these people. I'm hoping it's the same with sort of Ant and Dec and sort of, and I think, so for me, it's about keeping trying. We're not going to stop developing. We've got over 50 ideas in development this year, and we're going to keep developing new ideas. But it's about trying to give them a chance, letting them grow, and it is about trying to get some good talent behind them as well, so the audience will come to them in the first
Well, it's interesting that with Michael McIntyre and with the Mrs. Brown thing, neither of those are traditional formats.
Yeah.
Essentially, they're talent vehicles and they're kind of variety shows, and they've got lots of bits in them, but none of them are kind of game shows or the things that we're used to selling around the world, which is the truth. Both of those would be very hard, I think, for an independent to sell in different territories.
Yes.
And are you finding that earlier evening Saturday slot harder to fill? Which that's what we traditionally think of as entertainment, that generation game slot, that sort of thing, that shiny floor thing. And that seems to be an area where there might be trouble. Phil, I'll ask you, because you've tried a few things, Bring the Noise, Relatively Clever, things like that. That kind of shiny floor thing seems difficult maybe to pull off these days.
Well, I think one of the things we're trying to do is, because we're sort of almost re-entering the entertainment game, And some of those shows have kind of happened in isolation without an entertainment strategy around them. So we're looking
Not your fault, you're saying?
Yes, I'm basically saying not my fault. That's exactly what I'm saying. No, so we're looking at where we play entertainment. We're not going to compete on a Saturday night, so we're looking at our entertainment as being a post-watershed offering. And we've got other things to sort of measure in terms of our audience. It's not just about ratings, it's about the value people attach to the programs. You know, if it's loved by enough people, then it's got a good chance of coming back. And again, I would echo what these guys are saying. You know, we have to do a couple of things. We have to inspire producers to try and do something new and something a bit different and try and push the boundaries a little bit.
When you say new, Phil, so I'll stop you, I know, which is really very, very rude of me, but that thing of saying that we need to try something new, I think it's always interesting because it's something one always says to producers and stuff like that. But in this world, it is genuinely an interesting one of what is new, because Love Island, it's a new way of doing some entertainment. I know you've got some different thoughts about how to do things on Sky. What is actually the new way of thinking about this sort of show? Because I guess by entertainment, we mean a show that all the family can kind of enjoy together or something to talk about. You know, are there any strategies that say, I think that's
one definition of entertainment. I don't think it's always just about that. So, you know, when we're designing our shows, sometimes we've got reasonably specific audiences in mind. So we're looking at post-watershed as a specific area that we can maybe make a difference in. And we want to create entertainment shows that are probably a bit more male-friendly, but it could be potentially shared viewing. We've got this little theory about how we can sort of give producers a starting point to make our shows a little bit different. So we're taking movie tropes as our starting point for creating entertainment shows. So one of our shows that's coming up is called Revolution, which is basically rollerball. One of our shows that's coming up is called Carmageddon, which is kind of Mad Max meets Wacky Races. I think Zai is going to be on it, actually, with Kenton and Heather. So that's just that's a kind of starting point for us to give to producers to go away and think, well, actually, there's an opportunity here to do something, to think in a slightly different way.
I think targeted like that, though, I think when you're targeting certain audiences, I think that's more straightforward, really. I think the biggest challenge is what she was saying at the beginning, is that broad sort of piece. And it's not just in our genre. If you look at comedy, if you look at drama, or you look at factual, actually, when you're targeting something, it's more straightforward, I think, than what is that thing that will bring lots of different ages, lots of different demographics to the party, and that's really hard.
It's exactly what you were saying before. Listen, no one ever thanks you for making an entertainment flop. That, you know, it's really...
we believe in all of them when we launch them.
But, you know, drama, they can go, well, that was brave, that was challenging. Or sitcom, they go, it was dark, it was very dark. Whereas entertainment, no one will ever say, oh, that was that show that didn't work, that was, at least you were really... But, you know, the same skill goes into it. Now, there's a reputational thing for entertainment at the moment. That's why I said, is it in crisis? Because clearly, if you look at the figures, it isn't actually in crisis because there's some extraordinary hits. And as you say, with things like Love Island, with Michael McIntyre and Mrs. Brown's, there are new hits coming through as well. But I wonder how just that perception that maybe entertainment is yesterday's news impacts on your budgets at your channels, because, you know, we know that's sort of like the first thing to go. I don't want you to tell us what your budget is, but do you find that ITV are backing entertainment in a way that you'd like it to?
100%. I think they've got to back you as the person who's telling them you're going to deliver it. So, you know, like everybody else, you've got to go and pitch your stuff to Kevin and all of that. But I see absolutely loads of I see investment in it. And I see investment in the shows that are doing well. I see tons of investment in it, and thank God for that. It's not easy. We're always trying to do things more efficiently, but I see loads of investment. I don't have any worries about that.
And there's confidence that there will be a return on that investment, is there, from the people right at the top of the ITV organisation?
I think so. Well, I suppose I'm near the top now, aren't I, Richard? So
I suppose you are.
So I think, you've got to go in it, believe in it, and you've got to back the producer, because the worst thing you can do in any creative situation is for them not to feel like they've not got your back, or that you've not got their back. You've got to have their back, absolutely. 100%. Tonight, I'm just seeing Wayne over there, we're doing Bromance tonight on ITV2. And what that is, I would say, is it is original, because we've gone into it all trying to do something really funny, really epic, really original, on not a lot of money, and it looks the absolute nuts. And I feel like if they don't want that, I don't know what they want. Now they might not want it, but it's brash. It's talk about whether it's successful or not. In some ways, of course it matters, but I know that it's a really brilliantly made show, and I really want to. But I've already got ideas about what we could do in series 2 and 3, so we've got to go into it feeling like, you know what, we can take this.
Tell people briefly what Bromans is, the top line.
So the top line is that's it, thanks Wayne. Basically, we've taken Love Island-esque couples, 8 couples that are together. They've gone back to a time of ancient Rome, which is actually Bulgaria at the plebiscite. And they'll live it. So the guys are training to be real gladiators, and the girlfriends are helping them, and they're being trained, and it all combines into the Emperor's Games at the end. But actually, at its heart, honest to God, I was there last night at the Edit 3 and 4. Glenn and Summer, who you'll meet tonight, if you watch it at 9 o'clock, there's a real, actually, they love each other. So at its heart, there's something really authentic, and authenticity isn't a word that we haven't used yet, but I think this authenticity is really, really important, I think, for the audience. And they really love each other deep down, and they're trying the best for one another. And actually, it's absolutely wonderful.
And that's not a show that needs to get 10 million for you. In terms of ITV, if you get a show that people love, so Love Island's ratings of 2.5, which is extraordinary for the channel it was on. Yeah. But you can have something that is just adored by a certain demographic.
Yeah, and it's noisy, and it makes a noise, and it also allows, again, it's part of that sort of shop window. And actually what a show like Love Island has done is it's completely changed the way everybody sees the channel. And now you can see a show like Bromans, you want to pass on the baton, because you've got Love Island now, pass the baton on of Love Island to a show like Bromans, because you want to keep that feeling going. And I think the thing with Love Island is it started with the kids watching it, but then what I've found, and I didn't do this last series, I'm taking no credit for it, but then mums and dads and people were getting pulled into it, and that's then how you create the hit. Because when we start on X Factor, it was younger people watching it, and then your nan's watching it, and you think, and that's how you get the experience like that.
So nans will be watching Bromans within 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
I was going to watch it as a historical piece.
Yeah, exactly.
It's historically accurate, all of it.
Well, like
somebody said, they're going like, look at me. Well, I can't even say, it's really rude. They didn't even want I couldn't even play the pre-titles I wanted to show you, but it is absolutely fantastic.
The good news for authenticity is Bulgaria was in was in the Roman Empire
at
that time, so you're fine. You got away with it. Kate, at the BBC, that we know that budgets have come down. One is cutting one's cloth at the BBC. Yeah. How has entertainment been affected by that? Because it's obviously a political thing at the BBC where you have to spend on drama, you have to spend on documentaries and news, and entertainment would seem like a soft target, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, we know in the last couple of years, the BBC have had to cut their cloth in all genres. But I would say, again, I would echo Sue, we are really well supported in entertainment. Actually, Charlotte has been brilliant, and she is like, just try stuff. And the other thing she said, which I think is really important, is, look, don't worry about slots at the moment. Don't worry about it. Just get the good ideas in, get developing, and then let's have a look. And we're not going to turn down something brilliant. If there's something that we all believe in, we will find the slots and we will find the money. So we're launching this new show, The Button, from Avalon, which is kind of a game show in people's houses. And Charlotte and I pitched the idea, we loved it, we did a pilot, and we loved it, and it's people in their homes sort of cocking about, but competing against other families in real time. But did it feel like a primetime Saturday night show? No. Did it feel like a daytime show? No. So there was no slot for it, but we just loved it. So Charlotte was great and said, well, let's do it, let's make it, and then we'll think about where to put it. And I think that's really important, because I think in the past, and for these producers here, there's been a bit of, you haven't got the money, you haven't got the slots, and it's just like creative murder. And I really, really hope, and I think we will continue to do that, just sort of back good ideas.
Where are you going to play that, just out of interest?
Can't possibly tell you that. Well, it's literally just gone into production, so... And
it's not the pointless slot.
It's not the pointless slot, yeah.
Heaven forbid.
But it is a very funny, very joyful show, and I'm very excited about it. But I wouldn't, again, I'm not worrying about slot at the moment, so let's just get a good show.
Definitely.
And Phil, Sky obviously are very careful with how they spend their money, very research-driven and all that kind of stuff. And what sort of priority are they putting on entertainment?
Well, it's a big priority. So Sky One was rethought to a certain extent last year, and a big decision was made to back comedy, back Best of US Drama, Best of Drama and Entertainment. So it'd be a very focused approach to what was on the channel. So we've seen a decent uplift in budget. So, but we're making some big bets. We're adopting the fewer, bigger, better strategy and creating big shows, big swings as they call it in America. So we're very much in the business of creating entertainment events, box set factual entertainment. So I want to create sort of sticky entertainment that is almost like drama. So you kind of.
So when you say box set factual entertainment, that's
so
the same with a narrative that you follow from.
Fact-Ent you can binge on. That's what I kind of want to create. A bit like The Island at the moment. I don't know if anyone's watching that. That's a great piece of box set telly, and I'm slightly frustrated I can't just watch
One
it
of
all
them
on
is going to
demand.
die at some point.
One of them is going to die. I think it's Mark Watson.
It's unbelievable. You know that's how they're choosing the new head of Channel 4 as well. Bear Grylls is taking them all out. The last one to survive gets Jay's job. Yeah. That's what I heard.
But I also had to, because I did this job when I first joined Sky, and then I didn't do it for a while, and I focused exclusively on running Sky Arts. And I've come back to do this job, and I have noticed, particularly as everyone's kind of, there's a reinvigoration of entertainment that I feel happening at the moment. But I think partly because we're all really piling into it a little bit more. And it's failure's baked into everything, but it's specifically, particularly in entertainment, it's really, really hard to have a hit. But one will happen, something will happen. And it'll completely change.
I tell you, one of the most frustrating things for me is when people say to me all the time, if an ITV show doesn't do so well, they're like, oh God, you must be pleased, And of course we're competitive, but actually it's a really bad entertainment story for all of us if something doesn't do well on another channel. Because what I want is for Charlotte to give me more opportunities and sort of even more money to spend. So, if she's doing something well on ITV, I'm going, look at what entertainment is doing them for midweek. So yes, we're competitive, but we want, and at the beginning of last year, I remember there was The Voice and we launched Let It Shine, and those sort of January weeks where you get big audiences. And at the time I got, oh God, talent shows, audiences are sort of sick of talent shows. And then you look at them both, and they were both, I think between them, they got well over 14 million. So you're like, well, there's a lot of people out there who still want to watch a sort of singing talent show.
This happens, over my career, I've noticed this happen quite a lot. Genres are declared dead occasionally. So the quiz show was declared dead many years ago, and then Who Wants to Be a Millionaire came back and reinvigorated it. The talent show has been declared dead, but it'll take one to just make it alive again.
Yeah.
Now, the interesting thing is Netflix and Amazon, all these things that people are talking about a lot, they are not spending money in this area particularly. They might be just about starting, but they've really concentrated on drama, documentary and stuff like that, and talent vehicles, but less so on shiny floor stuff, quizzes, talent shows, that sort of thing. Now, do they know something we don't know, or are they going to follow us into this world, do you suspect? What do you reckon, Siobhan?
I've got no idea, but
Netflix.
I've got no idea if
you were running Netflix, would you have an entertainment strategy?
I personally would, yeah, because I love entertainment, and if they do, brilliant. Because I just love a competition. I honestly, Richard, I love it. Part of the reason I think that X Factor, I know I'm harping back to that, but when we started, we were up against Strictly right at the beginning, and all that kept everybody sharp and on the game. Yeah. And so I love it, and in the end, the viewers will choose what they want to back. So anything that keeps you on your A game, for me,
and also
I
anything
love
that feeds into the talent pool, producers, and also anything that actually speaks back into diversity and creates more people doing entertainment.
I do think that, going back to Shi's first point, that entertainment is at its best when it is a live, shared viewing experience. So I think it's interesting with Netflix and Amazon because, of course, it's all about sort of on demand and sort of, viewing at different times. I just wonder how they will develop unscripted, because when I look at iPlayer, actually I do a lot of quiz and panel shows, and they do well on iPlayer, but actually the big shows,
drama,
people aren't really watching them catch up, they're watching them live. It's drama that dominates catch up. So it'd be interesting to see how unscripted can work on Netflix and Amazon, because actually that's not their model, that everyone comes at a certain point.
Well, I think something rather interesting might come out of that, though. It's the way I'm thinking about trying to do box set fact tent. I think there's something potentially...
Yeah,
and also with
fact-tent's
Facebook
good.
Live, you can imagine something quite spectacular.
Well, I have to say, as speaking as a representative of an independent, Facebook Live and all that kind of stuff, we're very interested in doing all sorts of bits and bobs, especially with new talent. It's an area you start thinking, we could just do this ourselves and make it, with a very, very small budget and put it out there and acts as a pilot in a way. So we're doing a lot of that. But talking of talent, and new talent especially, entertainment's traditionally been the home of big talent. I mean, Anton Deck helmed 3 of the biggest shows on your channel. How important are those familiar faces to a channel? And then we'll talk about new talent in a bit. But how important is it to keep those key faces happy?
It's everything, isn't it? I suppose they love them as well. Like with the boys, I mean, they're just in a thing all of their own, and they are so special. And the way you can keep them, hopefully, with the channel, because they shouldn't be beholden to anybody, is that because their talent is so shiny and bright and wonderful, and the audience adore them. So our job is to make sure, I want them when we're doing, say, a show like Takeaway particularly, which I think is probably their most creative sort of experience, really, and they absolutely love that show. My job as well is to make sure that when they're coming and they're doing these shows, they're still feeling fulfilled and they're absolutely loving it. So I'm sorry, what was the question? How do you keep them happy?
How do you keep them? Well, here's a different way of putting the same question. If you look at Bake Off, it's gone to a different channel with different presenters, still a huge hit.
Yeah.
Would that be the case with your 3 big Anton Deck shows?
I would say that they're different out there.
Yeah.
I'm sure maybe they'd be successful, but would they have that magic? Of course they wouldn't, because it's the lads, innit? And they're different. So look, I can't predict. I'm never having that thought, Richard. But I think they are in a league.
And how do you grow new talent? Kate, so listen, Mrs. Brown came out of a sitcom and it's huge. Michael McIntyre we knew already.
Yeah.
But it's hard to find new faces who the public warm to immediately.
I mean, I think in the BBC we're fortunate that we have got, like I say, these different platforms. So we did the MASH report a few weeks ago with Nish as the host, who I thought was did a brilliant job as new talent, but we put him at the front of that show. We've got people like sort of the new Top Gear cast with Rory, who I think has really come through. So I think
he's really good.
Rory's great, yeah. So I think we have different platforms to grow talent. Actually, Live at the Apollo, interesting, is a really good show for us because it's just one of those things where people can get a good 20 minutes, but we can really see sort of how they land, and they're very much sort of putting themselves out there. So we're growing new talent. The other thing we're doing, I think, is looking at how we do different talent. So this Saturday, we're doing this one-off between the 2 Strictly weeks, Even Better Than the Real Thing, which is looking at these professional sort of tribute artists. And it's a quirky, joyous show, I have to say, and we commissioned it because someone told me that over 50% of all regional theatre bookings are tribute acts. And I thought, oh my God, it is really big business now, and I want to see those sort of really good people. But when we were looking for a host, we wanted an authentic host and someone we knew would love this world, a bit like you were saying, like Anton Deck, you want them to love the shows. And so we approached Paddy McGuinness, who hadn't really done anything on primetime BBC for us before, so I love him on Take Me Out. And he was absolutely the perfect host for that show. When he was, you thought, I absolutely believe him, that he loves this, he's great, and he's really, and immediately you sort of think, it's in good hands, this show. So it's growing new talent, but it's looking at other talent sort of out there. And I'm not saying we're going to nick all ITV's sort of stars, because, and they have obviously people who are under exclusive to them, but it is looking beyond the usual sort of BBC family, and who else can we get? And if the show's right, bring them in. And I'm sure she would say the same, vice versa, about getting people.
But an awful lot of them are from the comedy circuit. Funnily enough, a lot of the big entertainment presenters are kind of accidental in a funny kind of way. Mel and Sue weren't doing big entertainment shows before Bake Off. Simon Cowell, one of our biggest entertainment stars, Scarlett Moffat on Channel 4. They come out of unusual places.
And when we're trying to bring audiences to entertainment shows, there are a lot of very good presenters out there, and they're very good, and they could do a job, but are they going to bring the audiences? And and actually, you're right, a lot of those entertainment sort of people at the very top, they have comedic, or people like Bradley Walsh is brilliant, and he's got that sort of comedy variety background.
I don't know, I'm not aware of his work.
Bradley Walsh, apparently he's very well paid on the chase, but
But James Corden's a bit like that as well, of course. He's not a traditional presenter.
Yeah.
So you kind
on
of
League, he's brilliant.
On League, he's absolutely brilliant. And just to answer your previous questions, delightful to work with. as well. Very nice man.
Yes.
I hear that.
Yes, and no, yes, and so you look for several things. You look for, to some extent, you look for credibility and the ability to do it. So why is this person actually hosting this show? What's the logic for them doing it? You look for marketability as well when you're casting presenters, I think. And likability and that connection with the audience is so vitally important. One of the things we're trying to do actually is, we've also got James, we've got Russell Howard coming up, and we've got a new big show with him. But one of the things in our new shows, which are very much about the formats, is to try and create ensemble casts, presenting casts. So you've got a big name, and you've got some newcomers there as well who can...
Duos is much better. Have duos presenting TV shows.
Yeah.
Who?
Duos.
Duos,
it's much easier, don't you think? All the big hit shows
Duos,
now
yeah.
are presented by duos.
But also,
truth in that,
I kind of have these two categories in my head. There are presenters and there are personalities.
Yep.
And actually, they are kind of different beasts, and what we're interested in is those personalities, and whether that's taking presenters and growing them into personalities or having people who have got more comedy background, but it's the personalities that are really going to drive those big entertainment.
I have a theory, and it comes down to Big Brother and all sorts of things, Phil, that the reason that young people like Jeremy Corbyn is the one thing that is absolutely valued above everything if you're under 30 is authenticity.
Yeah.
It's one thing that's recognised instantly because they've grown up
real
watching
is,
they get it, and it's believing this person would be presenting this television show anyway, rather than they're doing it as a job.
Yeah, which is exactly what Paddy does on that show, yeah.
Now, you got a lot of grief, Kate, about BBC pay. And things like that, which is a lot of fun, that list. There was lots of people not on that list, I have to say. I was gutted because I really wanted to know what Zara gets paid for Pointless. I still don't know. But the fees for entertainment on commercial channels can be astronomical. I'm not going to ask you to give away anything, but when you looked at those BBC rates and what some people were on, what went through your mind as a commercial rival, Siobhan?
Honestly, I thought they were quite cheap, actually. I did.
Yeah.
That's, if you want me to be absolutely honest with you, Richard, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
And I felt, and also, if I'm honest with you, I felt sorry for it had to be put out like that. I did. That's
but
what
the truth is, entertainment rates on ITV are considerably higher than the rates that you could sort of see there on the BBC. And is that the same with you, Phil, on Sky?
I thought there were. Not in some cases. I mean, all these things are in negotiation with an agent, so it's an ecosystem, isn't it? It balances out. So I thought you paid reasonably well.
Well, I didn't think it was within our industry, it was any surprise. I mean, I think we've always been very transparent at the BBC. We've always tried to do that, and we are a public company, funded by the licence fee. So I think talent know that they could go to ITV and get bigger amounts. There's never been any secret in that, but actually it's the sort of creative freedom and the sort of breadth of work we can offer them. Someone like Graham Norton, is a fantastic entertainment presenter, but by being at the BBC, he does the chat show, he does Eurovision, he does BAFTAs, he does his Radio 2 show, and that's a great body of work for him. So I think it's not, dare I say it, it's not always about the money.
Sure. Shall we, before we finish, we might take a couple of questions, take a look at our League of Their Own driving challenge and see who won and who crashed.
Yeah.
Let's take a look.
Now we get serious.
Good.
We're down to this. Mark, please explain a little bit more about these beauties.
So this is a Formula Silverstone. It's a purpose-built racing car. They are fast, 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds and 140 miles an hour. The biggest difference you'll notice with this and the car you've just been in is that no one to give you any advice. You're by yourselves.
Let's mount up and let's get on.
Okay, pop that on them.
They're out now having their first test of the single-seaters, and I'm a little bit worried about Kendon because I think the man has no fear.
Look, he's right up her bum, look. So, as they say.
See ya.
God, he didn't even wait. He did it on a bend.
Right, I think they'll be coming in soon, and then it will be your turn.
Nice finish.
Don't do that again. It's great. It's fucking great. Can we swear at the RTS? It was fucking great.
Bring it on.
Oh, fuck.
of a wave as well.
Overconfident, I think so.
Yeah, but glamorous with it.
Very glamorous.
Come on.
Oh, fuck. That is easy to spin.
Sky have spun.
Oh, he's on the grass as well.
Woo. Don't worry, I'm in complete control of this.
Go on, Abigail. She's flying.
Jones is nailing it.
With single-seater training complete, our drivers will now go head-to-head in a knockout competition to see who will be crowned a League of Their Own racing champion. The rules are simple. Each driver will start the race exactly opposite their opponent across the width of the track, and whoever completes their own lap first wins. First up, Kenton versus Zai.
They're gone, they're away.
Here's Kenton, foot way down.
Zai's taking his time though. He doesn't want to spin again.
Kenton is definitely ahead in
Yeah,
time.
so
Definitely.
he's doing well on the straight
Definitely
end.
ahead in time.
Go, come on.
Come on, Zai! Woohoo! Now that's better.
Did I win? I won! Yes! Yes! Take that, Sky!
Fuck off, Kenton. Well done.
Can I have a commission?
Definitely not.
Semi-final 2, Heather versus Teresa.
They're away. You're going to be facing one of these in the final, mate.
Who's in the final?
You're
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
You.
Yeah.
He's so good.
I mean, he's got Alzheimer's, but he's in the final.
Winner of semi-final 2, Heather.
Yay! Woo!
Stay in car, Heather. We're going to get Kenton in the blue for the grand final.
Put it like this, winning this, birth of my second child, birth of my first child, my marriage, business, is quite important.
Kenton's desperate to win. Well, then in which case I'm desperate to beat Kenton just to piss on his chips.
Everybody is watching this, wanting you to win here, all right? You are the people's champion,
That's too much pressure.
okay? Kenton is the bad guy.
You're in my car.
Well, you know what? Deal with it.
Prediction time. Who's going to win this?
Oh, this could be close. Heather's really good. Anyone but Kenton.
Heather is just a touch ahead.
Come on, Heather. Kenton might have caught up a bit here.
Very close indeed now. This is such a close final. Go on, go on.
So, folks, tight race, incredibly close, difficult conditions. But the winner of a League of Their Own Grand Final of Silverstone 2017 is Kenton.
Good deal with Lewis Hamilton. Does he jump out of his car? Lewis. I got it. Oh, sorry. Showbiz. One for you, Andy.
Thank you very much, sir. You're good help. Cheers, everybody. Well done, well done. Cheers. Cheers.
It's Carver.
Got that shit.
Congratulations to Kenton. He's got a touch of the Clarksons about him, hasn't he? Kenton, to be fair, I think we've just got time for a couple of questions if anyone has got questions for our illustrious panel. Yes, in the second row here.
Hello, Tara Conlan. Can I just ask, Kate, when you said it's about getting the audience to the show, is that why there are so many revivals? I'm thinking Blind Date, The Price is Right, Gen Game. How is that going with Mel and Sue, by the way? And also, can I ask Siobhan as well about Love Island, about whether or not, now it's been so successful on ITV2 and it's been a training ground, whether or not that might move over to the main channel, please?
And it's not going to move over to the main channel, Love Island? No. I think they're going to keep, why would you? It's brilliant. Yeah, it's great where it is.
I think on, it's certainly the BBC, actually, Generation Game is the only one we're reviving. We're bringing back Weakest Link as a special for children in need. We thought that would be good fun, but actually Generation Game is the one we're reviving. And the reason we are is because they did a big sort of survey of titles the audience love, and Generation Game was far and away at the top as the one people would like to see again. But actually, for me, sometimes it's even riskier, I think, to bring back an old show. And how do you sort of update it for an audience now and bring that modernity into it while still sort of harking back to what people love? So I think that's really, really tough. But we're not bringing Generation Game back because we think we'll automatically get an audience to it and it's a quick win. For me, it's a really, really big risk. And
yeah, and I think if you're bringing something back, I brought Takeaway back. It was only 5 years, it wasn't like that. Yeah. But you've got to bring it back, and you've got when they come to it, it's a responsibility, because you want them to know why they loved it in the first place. But most of all, it's got to move on. So when you see the shows who've brought back and nothing's moved on, it's the worst. It's like going to a reunion and seeing the hottest lad and going.
And people are coming to it with expectations already.
Totally.
It is.
You know what I mean? Or saying, come,
like
come, and then you turn up and it's
warm
Lambrini and a sausage
it's
roll.
like remembering the hunk, and is he still as hunky as I remember?
Yeah, so you want it to be really, really... And also, sometimes it's moved on. When you look at Blind Date and then you look at Love, it's moved on. Yeah. So sometimes, not everything, but some things just need to be left as they were, and we need to find the new stuff of the way of doing it. But things like that, these are evergreen themes. The trick is to do them in a modern way that the audience go, I absolutely love it.
And Channel 4 are doing a lot of new things, a lot of old formats, Crystal Maze and Price is Right and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But we couldn't get anyone from Channel 4 here today because they are all house hunting in Edgbaston. Do we have another question from anybody? Or is everybody happy? Because if you're all happy, we can all go and have a drink, which would be amazing.
Sounds good.
Well, I think then, should we wrap it up? Thank you so much. And I don't think any of you messed up with your press officers, so very well done. A round of applause for our panellists, please. Thank you all.